5.3 million years ago, the Earth was in constant transformation. The continents we know today were still shifting, and Africa, the cradle of humanity, was alive with both opportunity and danger. Near the rivers that cut through the landscape, early ancestors of humankind faced a daily struggle, the battle for survival. Here the water promised life, but it also harbored unimaginable threats. For early primates and hominins, rivers were essential. Water was a necessity, and so was the abundance of plants and animals that flourished nearby. Tall grasses, fruit-bearing trees, and herds of grazing animals made river valleys a rich source of food. But rivers were also home to predators. Massive crocodiles, some over 6 meters long, lurked beneath the surface. Hippopotamuses, aggressive and territorial, defended their space violently. And on the riverbanks, big cats and hyenas prowled, waiting for the weak or the careless. To our distant ancestors, every trip to the river was a gamble, a balance between nourishment and death. Imagine a small group of early hominins approaching the river at dawn. They moved together, guided by instinct and the faint beginning of cooperation. Their eyes scanned constantly, ears tuned for danger. The goal was simple: find water, gather edible plants, and possibly scavenge what other animals left behind. Yet nothing was guaranteed. At the water's edge, they had to act quickly. Drinking required vigilance. One moment of distraction could mean being snatched by a crocodile. These creatures were silent killers, capable of exploding from the water with terrifying speed. So one or two individuals kept watch, while the others crouched to drink. It was a primitive form of teamwork, an early step toward the social behaviors that would one day define humanity. But the river was not just dangerous beneath the surface. On the open banks, giant cats, perhaps the ancestors of today's lions, stalked their prey. With bodies built for power and ambush, they relied on stealth to close in on the vulnerable. A young hominin or an infant could easily become a target. The group had to stay close, protecting their weakest members. The bond of family and community was not just emotional, it was essential for survival. Even when not under direct attack, the mere presence of predators shaped every decision. The early hominins learned where to walk, when to rest, and how to sense the signs of danger in their surroundings. Despite the risks, the river also offered rare opportunities. Carcasses left behind by large predators provided a chance to scavenge. For our ancestors, this meant access to new sources of nutrition, particularly meat and marrow. At this stage of evolution, tool use was still primitive, but the beginnings of curiosity were there. A sharp stone could break open bones, releasing the fatty marrow inside. This food was dense in energy, fuel that helped shape the growth of the human brain in generations to come. But scavenging was risky. Returning to a carcass too soon meant encountering the predator that killed it. Waiting too long meant that scavengers like hyenas had already stripped it clean. Timing was everything. Living by the river meant living in constant tension between need and danger. But this struggle forged adaptations. Stronger cooperation, sharper instincts, and more creative ways of gathering resources slowly emerged. Our ancestors learned to recognize animal tracks, to anticipate the movements of predators, and to take advantage of safe moments to approach the river. These lessons were not taught in words. They were learned through survival, passed down by the actions of each generation. From a modern perspective, life 5.3 million years ago seems impossibly harsh. Every drink of water could be fatal. Every sound in the tall grass could signal a predator. And yet this environment was the teacher that shaped the path of human evolution. Danger sharpened awareness, scarcity encouraged cooperation, and opportunity fueled curiosity. These are the foundations of what would one day become human intelligence. The river was both a source of fear and a source of life. Without it, survival was impossible. With it, survival was uncertain. This delicate balance forced our ancestors to adapt or perish. Today we can still see echoes of that ancient struggle. Humans remain drawn to rivers and water sources, just as our ancestors were. Civilizations throughout history have risen and thrived along rivers, the Nile, the Tigris, the Ganges, because they provided life. But behind that attraction lies a deep memory. A memory of ancestors who risked everything just to drink, to eat, and to live another day. Their survival carved the path that eventually led to us. 5.3 million years ago, survival by the river was not just a challenge, it was a daily trial that demanded vigilance, courage, and unity. The predators of that time may be gone or changed, but their role in shaping us remains. Each cautious step, each watchful glance, and each act of cooperation contributed to the story of human evolution. And so the riverbanks of ancient Africa were more than just places of danger. They were the proving grounds of humanity, where life and death danced in fragile balance, and where the seeds of what makes us human were first sown.